How's it going, guys? Cameron here, as Canadian Gamer, coming at you with another CG reviews. And today we are talking about The Order 1886 for the PS4. So a couple things I want to talk about with regards to this game. So I first heard about this game, I think it was a Digital Foundry video that I saw talking about it. It was like a little bit of a retrospective Let's Play, and it looked really cool. Fast forward a year or two later, I saw this game. I think I was out in Kingston, and it was at the retro video game store out that way. And on the shelf, they had a vanilla copy, just like this. But they also had another copy, and it had like almost like a dossier cover. It was really cool. I had my hand on it. It wasn't too expensive. I should have bought it. Later on, recently, within the last several months, I think I was out in Kingston again, and I picked up a copy. It was less than $10. I picked it up. Now, obviously, I've got a pretty significant backlog of games. You guys know about it, right? I'm constantly struggling to complete these games. So before I jump back into The Witcher 3 a couple of weeks ago, I put on The Order 1886 just to see what it was all about. And I started playing. I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm like, this is really good. And then I put it down because I got into The Witcher 3. And I wanted to commit to The Witcher 3. And then I told myself I would go back to The Order 1886. So, anyone who's been watching the channel, my last video I posted a review of The Witcher 3. If you haven't checked it out yet, feel free to check it out. After I finished The Witcher 3, give the Xbox Series X a rest, I jumped back over to the PS4. PS4 Pro I have, by the way, in case you're wondering. And I played The Order 1886 all the way through. And this is just a short final thoughts, off the cuff, quick and dirty thoughts of this game. No gameplay footage whatsoever. So, reading reviews online and watching review videos online, there seems to be like a common theme with this game. And what it is it's like, back in the day when it came out, could you justify paying full retail for a game that was so short? So I want to give my 2 cents on that. So I think, if you're watching this video, hopefully you've already played the game, and this review will resonate more with you versus somebody who hasn't played the game. Again, no gameplay footage here. This video might not do you a whole lot of good, right? You're going to have to go out and seek out a copy and try it out for yourself. I personally think this is a long game. I think it's a long game. It took me several nights to beat it. It took me, I don't know how many hours to beat it. I don't know, 10, 11 hours, I don't know. Whoever out there said that you could beat this game in 5 to 7 hours, I don't know about that. I don't know. Maybe if you're speedrunning it. So I just want to stress this, okay? I really, really, really want to stress this. This is like the perfect game for me. It is. It's basically a story-driven, linear, single-player campaign, okay? Third-person perspective. And the graphics in this game, whoever has played this, you know what I'm talking about. The graphics in this is a 10-year-old game. Probably the best graphics I've ever seen in a video game. I don't know how the developer, Ready at Dawn, was able to pull that off. The best way I can describe it is it has a little bit of, it bears some similarities to those other games that were released on the PS4, like Until Dawn, and then The Quarry as well. You know how those games look pretty realistic for the most part, except for the character models. In this game, everything looks super photorealistic. Okay, so again, it's not an open world game. It's very linear. But the way that the developers were able to render everything, again, me saying it doesn't do it justice. You have to go out and check out this game. Visually, when you got the game on your TV, and you've got a really good TV, it pops. It looks really good. It plays like a movie. You feel like you're playing an interactive movie, and I don't mean that in a bad way. And it's got a really cool aspect ratio as well. It's not 16:9. I don't know what the aspect ratio is, but it's basically letterboxed like the old school movies from the early 90s. So it gives you a wider field of view. So yeah, it was just amazing. I loved it. Not too long, but long enough. Long enough. It took me a while to get through the chapters. 16 chapters in total. I don't want to really give out too many spoilers here, but I think the guy you're playing, if I'm not mistaken, his name was Agent Callahan, and you're part of this order, and it takes place in an alternate 18th century, if you will, and you're chasing down what's called the Lycan, which are these werewolves, and I don't know, it's a pretty far-fetched story, but they were able to pull it off pretty well. It was really good. Controls are good. Music is fantastic. But like I said, the graphics, oh my god. And the voice acting is really good in it too. Something that I can't say the same about with The Witcher 3. Negatives with this game? Only a couple. You can't skip the cutscenes, from what I could tell. When you're in some of the slower paced areas where the gunplay slows down, I find some of the NPCs are walking around like Michael Jackson doing the moonwalker. Some of the gun areas where you're in the gunfights, it's a little bit too drawn out, especially in the later chapters. But other than that, I have nothing really bad to say about this game. If I would have paid full price for it back in the day, I wouldn't have felt disappointed. And I think one of the developers, in retrospect, talking about this game, had mentioned how, a 10 out of 10 video game experience doesn't have to be a massive open world game that takes you 100 hours to beat. You can still have a 10 out of 10 experience with a game like this that only takes you several hours to beat. It's all about the presentation and the story. And for me, I didn't buy the game full price back in the day, but if I had, I don't think I would have felt disappointed by it. This was a memorable experience. Much like the Saboteur was when I played that last year on the 360. This was a memorable experience. I could see myself going back and playing it through again. I just enjoyed it so much. I loved it so much. I know that's polarizing. I know maybe a lot of you out there don't feel the same way with regards to this game. But this is why I bought a PS4 Pro, because like I've said on the channel before, a lot of times with the multiplats, I'll get them for my Xbox One and my Xbox Series console. But the artsy-fartsy, the special single-player experience, I feel like the Sony PlayStation has always delivered on that front. And this is no exception. This is a game we did not get on the Xbox. Shortly after this game came out, it was a financial... I wouldn't say a financial failure. I think it did sell a couple million copies. But unfortunately, Sony didn't greenlight a sequel, and then a couple of years later, Ready at Dawn went under. So we'll probably never get a sequel to this. But I'm telling you, when you're playing it, it feels like a $1 million... It feels like a big blockbuster affair, at least to me. Like it felt like a motion picture. It was just... I don't know. A really chill experience. Okay, not too stressful. There are QTEs in it, quick time events, but they're not too obtrusive for the most part. I did not enjoy the stealth gameplay mechanics in some of the areas. I didn't enjoy that. I didn't like that whatsoever. You basically creep up on a guard, and then you wait for the triangle to flash on the screen, and you press it. If you don't press it right at the right time, the guard will shoot you, and then you have to replay the whole scene over again. So wasn't really crazy on that. The game has an incredible photo mode. It was really good. I thought it was excellent. Way better than the photo mode you get in The Witcher 3, which I feel they could have done a way better job with. The Witcher 3, I don't know why I keep talking about The Witcher 3. I guess because I just played it. It's got a good photo mode, but it doesn't have enough options and features and filters and things like that, whereas this game has all of that. Also, what's interesting is, again, Digital Foundry had posted a video a year or two ago talking about how if you had a certain version of the PS5 okay, and you did not update the console whatsoever, there was a way that you could pop this game in and play it at 60 frames a second. Now, a lot of full motion, a lot of films out there, movies, okay, when you watch a movie, you see how a movie looks different than a television show as far as how the pacing, like the frame rate is in the movie. Full motion movies are often shot at 24 frames a second. I bet a lot of you guys probably didn't know that. So when you're playing this game, you're thinking, oh, it's only at 30 FPS. It actually looks really good at 30 FPS. It fits the style and the aesthetic of this game perfectly. I don't think I would want to play this game at 60 FPS. So, yeah, all that being said, I'm giving this game a 10 out of 10. Personally. That's just me personally. I thought it was an amazing experience. This is my favorite type of game. Extremely linear. Kind of like the original Max Payne. Long enough. I didn't find it short. I found it to be extremely long. That's how it felt to me over a period of several nights. But yeah, I just wish I would have picked up that special edition that I saw at the store in Kingston those years ago when I saw it. So there was a collector's edition of this that you could get. It, like I said, it came in a box and it had postcards and pictures and all the rest of it. I had never seen that out in a while. I just saw, like I said, the limited edition. It looked to have been the game that came out of the collector's edition, and it was just sitting on the shelf standalone. But yeah, it just blows my mind that a game like this exists. People still talk about it to this day, and there is a bit of a niche following, a cult following surrounding this game. But it's crazy to think that we'll probably never get a sequel. And I just want to reiterate this one more time. I just want to say the graphics in this game were mind-blowing. I'm telling you, better than anything I've seen in the last 10 years. It looks photorealistic. Everything looks super detailed. There's so much you can look at if you take your time. I found that's what I did when I was playing the game. I wasn't rushing from checkpoint to checkpoint to checkpoint. I was looking around at everything. You pick up a newspaper or a manuscript or a letter, and then you could actually flip it around and look at the backside, and oftentimes there was things written on the other side that would add to the story. One thing that was really weird, kind of like at the beginning of the game, you're going through this abandoned house, okay, and you find Sackboy. It's like an achievement. You find Sackboy from Little Big Planet. On one hand, I'm thinking, yeah, that's a pretty funny nod to another Sony franchise. But at the same time, it felt kind of out of place in this game because there's not really... The characters occasionally have some humor with their dialogue, but for the most part, it's a very dark game. And to just go through, and this was the only instance where I saw any sort of mention of another Sony IP, but you find Sackboy, and it just kind of felt disjointed. It's like, what is Sackboy? Why is there a Sackboy doll in this? I get what they were doing, but it was kind of out of place. So yeah, The Order 1886, 10 out of 10 experience, single player, linear, story-driven narrative, the best type of game for me personally. Because it's not too short, it's not too long. Especially getting out of The Witcher 3, I needed a break from the open world atmosphere. I needed something more dumbed down. And this filled the void. This was amazing. Can't recommend it enough, guys. The Order 1886. Go out and get it now if you can. Like I said, it is not enhanced for the PS5 as of the making of this video. But again, there is some way you can play it at 60 FPS if you choose to. But yeah, awesome. Anyways, I'm going to cut it off there, right around the 14-minute mark. I hope you guys are all doing well. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good night.